Not so much necessary.
It's not like me. I will not need to watch again. I'm off.
Do your necklace well.
We're ready to go. We're ready to go. So once you see yourself as usual in your life,
All right.
hello. Don't forget to put like she go put her.
Hmm? Take. About 10 o'clock. It is Rapid on Rapid Television's channel 176 on Star Times. My name is Cynthia Agbo. I do hope that you've been enjoying yourself this beautiful morning from 7 up to now. This is a point where I tell you we have something interesting at this point for you. I did tell you before the Eastern Circle that I'll be having my guests after the particular segment. And with me in the studio this beautiful morning is an amazing person, the person of Mr. Emmanuel Ansah-Amprofi. And he will be talking about agriculture, development, the advantages, where we are as a continent or as a country, and of course, what is the look when it comes to young people, how involved are they in agriculture? Good morning, Mr. Emmanuel. Good to have you on the show this
Good
morning.
morning, Cynthia. It's a privilege to be here. And you're looking awesome.
Um, Thank you so much. All right, so I was saying that when it comes to agriculture, you are one person that you are very. I think I have never known you to be outside agriculture. You love agriculture. You breathe and live agriculture. What would you say? How would you describe our agricultural level as a continent before we come to Nigeria?
Right. Thank you very much for the opportunity. And I'm actually privileged to be here. And it's interesting when it comes to agriculture, the kind of challenges we have as a continent amidst all the opportunities. Let me give you a basic fact. We're the only continent that just about everything can grow. Because we have abundance of sunshine, we have abundance of rain, and a lot of water bodies. Like we keep saying, crops actually do not need rains. They need water. However you find the water for the crop, that's how it is. Livestock, same. But as a continent, with all this weather condition, we get about 300 plus days of sunshine, which is what the crops need. I mean, our basic primary school or GSS says photosynthesis. Everybody knows photosynthesis, blah, blah, and all those ones. But sad enough, Africa currently imports, this is figures as of today. If you take your phone and you Google our food import bill, it will shock you. Africa imports $60 billion a year just on food. $60 billion a year just on food. Now, this is the only continent that currently has about 60% of the world's arable land. I mean, the land that is left for farming or suitable, conducive for farming currently in the world, Africa controls about 60%. Yet we are importing 60 billion on that one. Ask yourself, what are we really importing? Cereals.
Oh, wow.
Majority of Africa's import is on cereal. We are not importing cocoa. We are not importing cashew. But we're importing the rice. We're importing maize. We are importing millet, beans. I mean, cereals, the daily thing that you use. If you eat your momo this morning, don't be surprised that the beans problem is coming from somewhere else, not on the continent. Rice, and I must also congratulate or mention to this is across Africa, but Nigeria specifically has done a bit of work in terms of rice production. I mean, I've been in and out of this country, I think about 4 years now. It's the place that you find local rice very much available. But even that one is still not enough. One more statistic.
Why is it not enough?
Because the quantum of rice that we consume does not match the quantum of rice that we are growing.
Okay.
Amidst all our fields, I mean, Ukraine goes to war, and the whole of Africa is crying and making noise about it. And almost all our problems that we have in this continent in food, it's associated to Ukraine. What is the size, the arable land size of Ukraine?
That's a good
The
question.
whole Ukraine's hold on the world in terms of wheat is actually coming from just one state of Nigeria, Kaduna. The land size of Kaduna is more than the land size of Ukraine under land that is under cultivation for wheat. But Ukraine is the world power in terms of wheat. Your bread, currently, I mean, when Ukraine and Russia war started, we started crying, and then the cost of bread, and now, how much was the cost of bread last year?
I mean, before you could get bread of 150, 200, 250, and now the good breads you can see for 450.
It used,
but
to,
now
it used to be around, I used to buy it last December around 600. Now, if you go to Value Mart, where I buy my or even ShopRite and all those ones, it's ranging around 1,000 to 1,500. That's 100%. It is because we are depending on wheat. Meanwhile, there are other substitutes for wheat flour that Africa is good at.
like
Cassava, potato. Sweet potato is turned into flour. Maize can be turned into flour for baking. But we keep, as a continent, dependent. And that is not too much of, I would say it's not too much of our making, but it's our making. Because we sit here and we play a consuming continent. We consume everything that is shown down to us, as from World Bank to the host IMS and co. Why would the World Bank tell you not to grow cereals, but Ghana grow cocoa, Nigeria grow cashew? Because they can't grow it over there at their place. On top of it, the cocoa industry. So if your average cocoa industry, which is the chocolate and all those things, makes over 600 billion. So let's say about 6 billion. That's 6 billion worth of that industry. The whole continent of Africa does not get up to 10% of that amount. But we grow the cocoa. Ghana, Nigeria, Ivory Coast controls more than 70% of the world's cocoa supply.
wow.
So it's a but the reason that I say that we blame ourselves for this is that we as a continent, our leaders, are they really thinking in that state? Or they are just interested in amassing wealth and putting it in other people's country? If you put in the funds to move around the continent, even if let's say you steal, I'm not endorsing stealing.
Okay.
I'm not endorsing stealing, but if you steal as a politician or a leader wherever you are, and you put that money into investing in your own country, it's going to create a lot of jobs for other people. Because the bank will have access to those money that will be now lent to other people. Then those guys can use it to turn around and make the economy better. Let's stick to agric so that I will not digress.
Well, I wanted to ask you something on that, because I do know that a couple of times myself and you, we've been privileged to visit some places,
Yep.
and we've seen a couple of farms where were owned by persons were in government,
Right.
okay, and after they leave government, some of these places are abandoned. Why do you think is the cause of this, before we step out from there?
They did not actually go into farming as a business. Because if you are going into farming as a business, you have a better succession plan. So that the moment that fund that you are getting freely, free public funds or by mere fact of your influence of where you are getting those funds. The moment you come out of that, it should be a way for you. There should be a continuity plan. One, probably a person was getting access to free money, and so does not really think about how do this make me money. Instead, recruiting the right skills for the farm. The right skills in terms of the youth that you are recruiting, are they skilled enough? It will shock you to know that most of our students that are coming out from the agric universities do not know jack about agriculture. It's done 4 years in school.
Too sad.
I employed some. I'm sorry, it's not only Nigeria. It's across the continent. See, we are harming ourselves day in, day out. Africa is focusing on the not so important, leaving what is really important for us. Let's just stick to food. When you wake up this morning, you thought of the first thing you thought is, well, I do all my chores. Am I going to have breakfast? Later you think about lunch. If you want to reduce your stomach like I want to reduce my stomach, or you are on diet, you probably eat twice in a day. And that food has to be grown by somebody. So it's always the money that we are giving out if we keep importing food. So those farms do not have a proper business angle and business plan to it. They tend to just make sure that, I have money. They don't have any way of putting the money. Let me just take it into agric. No, they didn't do the business. They didn't do the business planning and business side of it.
So you are saying that it is not just enough for you to have money and say, okay, what's the next available thing? Oh, agriculture. Oh, people say agriculture is the thing. Let's do it.
Yep.
So you need to have the passion. You need to have the zeal. You need to have. I think in the course of our conversation, we will talk about some of the needed things you need to have as a person if you must go into agriculture.
Yep.
Let's now go back a bit to, there was a time, let's come to Nigeria now. There was a time that agriculture was a thing. It was the main thing, even before crude oil and all. I know that looking at Nigeria, and I'm sure other African countries have also experienced this movement, this progression. It was agriculture. From there we moved to crude oil, and then now it's tech. Okay, now everybody's talking about tech and entertainment. Oh, we are exporting entertainment. We are getting so much money from entertainment. Oh, everybody wants to be in tech. But let's move to the time where it was all about agriculture. I do know from my little knowledge of history that it was really, really sustaining us as a people. Why do you think we moved from there? And is it possible for us to go back to that place?
It's laziness. Laziness of our leaders, laziness of our the community, and laziness of our youth. So it's a combination. Now, leadership is supposed to steer us to the right direction. Now, we are too blessed as Africa. So we turn out to take everything for granted and say, oh, leave it in the hands of God. God will take care of us. No, it's gone beyond. Yes, Africa was, and must be an agricultural base. Because a bulk of our industries, I mean, the countries that have done well, industrialization, all rode on the back of agriculture. America still does a lot of agriculture. Israel, that tiny country of Israel, have food bank for next 25 years.
Wow.
Should they continue fighting the fight that they are fighting, and they say they are not farming for the next 25 years? This was said by the Israeli Prime Minister. They have food bank, food reserve that can take care of themselves for the next 25 years. Can you and I say that for Africa?
No, we can't. I mean,
Israel's land is rocky. They actually need to, quote unquote, break rocks to form soil before they can grow. On top of the mountains or hills around Abuja, you have a lot of trees. I mean, just around my area, you see these two hills or that you.
Yes.
Go and see a lot of go and see cultivation
growing on it.
that is happening. So we left when we got oil, and I'm saying this in the state of Nigeria, we saw that this is free money. And so forgot about the food. We think like, oh, if I need food, I can always go and buy. So we take the oil money to go and bring food, which means we take our oil money to now import food that could have been grown right here. Remember years back, I think the previous administration, I was not here by then, I think we read it in Ghana, and some of us were championing and we still champion, banned the importation of rice. We were complaining, we're making all the noise. No. At the end of the day, the rice that we ate, did they kill us?
No.
Some of us are still eating those rice. If it is basmati rice that we want to grow, government, why don't we find out the seed for us to now plant basmati rice? So that one, you are creating jobs for your people, your youth. We have most arable land. I mean, Nigeria is so blessed that every crop that you grow will do. We are getting strawberries from, is it Taraba? No, Jos. And those areas. Passion fruit available. There are countries that will not. Greenhouse and all those things came about because the Western world, which do not have enough sunshine, need to create an artificial environment to get the sunshine or to give the plants that environment that the plants need. But we have it in abundance. So we left from our core business of we as Africans can control the world through food, but we don't, we can't, because we've relaxed. Now China has started growing cocoa. China does cassava. Don't be surprised, China will still be exporting gari to us. Malaysia took palm from the soil. Ghana and Nigeria gave Malaysia palm seedlings. In fact, they brought people to come and study. I saw some village in somewhere in Anambra also. Is there Anambra or Enugu when we did our checks? And then some parts in Ghana. Dr. Kwame Nkrumah of then took people to go to, what's his name? Malaysia. And our leaders took people to go to Malaysia to go and teach them how to grow. Today, Malaysia and Indonesia control the palm oil industry in terms of pricing. So we have sat
So is it more like they sold their birthright?
Yep. And then till date, we still, agriculture has been, it's no more agriculture, it's agribusiness. So we need to bring the business side of the culture. But if we see it as culture as usual, let me just try and see, go and do what I can do. And then at the end of the day, I get 5 bags of rice from 1 hectare, and I believe like I'm okay. The rice can sustain me. But if you see it as a business, you make sure that my 1 hectare, if I do it well, I'm going to get like 15 bags of rice, of maize, or a certain tonnage of cassava. Now, out of this 15, I'll need 5. I'll sell the 10.
Okay.
To buy something that I need, and then equally to improve on the land. But because we see it as a subsistent level, we just tend to let it slide. So we left that bit. Coming into the present days now, agriculture has been removed from most of our curriculums in school. Why on earth, as Africans, why on earth would you remove agriculture from your curriculum? When somebody is sitting in Rome, Switzerland, in kindergarten, and they are teaching them how to grow pineapple. Last year, we were in World Food Forum at the FAO headquarters. And when they did the event, they brought kits to show them how pineapple is grown. Ask yourself, how much pineapple is grown in Italy? 0. So we have all those environments, but we've removed agriculture as the study of agriculture. And instead of making it even agri-science, making the science aspect to it, let the child know your food system, how we grow our food. We've just stopped those things. And then what are we teaching our kids in school? Just the normal read and write and the normal mathematics. It's never enough.
Even history is even shaking. There was a time it wasn't actually there in the curriculum until they had to fight and then they brought it back. So agriculture
Sometimes
history.
common sense is not common to us as Africans. Fact, let's face it. Why on earth? If your food, whoever controls your food controls you. So if your kitchen is in somewhere and the person has the key to your kitchen, know that you are a slave to that person.
True.
So if we sit here with all our water resources, I mean, I drive around. I've driven around Nigeria quite a bit. I've done, the northern states, Jos, Taraba, Bauchi, Gombe, Adamawa, all those areas. Then down south, Niger through Minambida, Obomosho, all those down there to Abeokuta and those places. And I keep. Sometimes I'm a Ghanaian, so I live in here in Abuja, but I go home quite often. I tend not to just fly. I'll drive rather, just for a reason. See the landscape, see the water resource, the amount of water we are allowing into the sea. And then we turn around to come and build, we need money to build sea defense. When we have to use this land to grow food for ourselves. So those are some of the things that we need to go back to as a continent. We need to go back to as a country. We need to go back to as a community. But it is not all rosy because the fundamentals have to be made right. What are the fundamentals? Infrastructure for agriculture. If you have no security or you are not secured of going to your farm and coming back alive, why would I want to go to the farm?
Like some of the issues we have in the north and Benue and some other parts.
That is one. If you are not secured of when I plant my maize or my yam, the cattle will not come and eat and destroy it, making my investment go down the drain. Why would I want to plant again? So security is number one. Number two, investing in knowledge for agriculture. Our curriculum has to be right in the way of what do we need as a basic. We know that we import X amount of rice. Why don't we now grow more rice to meet that demand? Whereby making sure that our students from the agricultural universities have automatic work. Why would an agric student, with all the land that University of Abuja is sitting on, are wasting it? I mean, University of Abuja stretches from, I'm told their land stretches from Airport Junction right down to Gwagwalada. Huge, massive land. Why can't University of Abuja partner with institutions like us to run an integrated full commercial farm just to feed Abuja?
All right, we are definitely going to talk about a whole lot of things. We are talking agriculture, where we were, where we are, where we can be, and youth involvement. It's still Rapid on. My guest is still with me. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back. All right, welcome back. It is Rapid Dawn right here on Rapid TV. And I still have my guest in the studio with me, Mr. Emmanuel Ansah-Amprofi. Mr. Emmanuel, in the few minutes that we have, let's talk about the young people. I do know that you have some concerns related regarding the fact that most times young people are focused on entertainment and other things. So let's talk about agriculture and young people.
We have a very aging farmer population in Africa. When we say aging farmer population, the average farmer in Africa is about 50-something plus years old, 60, 62. The question is, can these people sustain us in terms of food production? No. There's a more reason why we need to bring youth into agri space. But you cannot bring youth into agri space when you've not made agri or agribusiness attractive enough. For you to come into agri space, I must know that one, it is not as drudgery as it used to be, because Cutlass and Hoe, which I call it the 17, Cutlass is Paralysis is there, 1, and the whole is 7. 17 will never get us there. So you need to bring in the aspect of mechanization. If a young man or a young lady knows that once I have a bit of modern technology, I can sit here and monitor my beds in the house or on my farm, I'll be able to do other things and not to be too far away, or my eyes will be on my animals. So 1, bringing in technology, bringing in youth, making it more attractive for the youth, letting the business side of agric known and felt by youth. Let me give you an example. If I'm a youth and I'm going to put, let's say, 100,000 into cultivation of okra or ugu leaves, and I know that ugu leaves in 30 days or maximum 60 days, I'm going to make a profit of 120 or 150. Why would I go into it? As opposed to going to put that money in a place that is not secured. So we need to make sure that it is secured investment in agriculture. Technology is imbibing it, modern trends, good seed. I'll stress on good seed and good seed. Because if you prepare all this land well without a good seed, you're not going to make it. And so teaching the youth the right skills. We have a lot of people who have farms and they complain day in, day out that we do not have the right mind or the right hands to work. Because you're not paying the youth well. How would it attract the youth to even? He's using it as just a stepping stone. The moment he gets something, give him a POS device and set him up with like 200,000. He knows that every day he's going to make about 2,000 or 3,000 or 5,000 naira. He's fine. He's not going to be. He won't care about growing food.
Okay, don't you think that is this a problem of the fact that young people just want to have it very quick? They want to have what is quick. They want to have what is flashy. They want to have what is trendy. They want to have what is easy.
No, I disagree. Reason I'm disagreeing is that if you make agric sexy enough for the youth, he will go into it. Reason being that what is the image? What is the image you see of an African farmer? Let's Google right now. You see a very old lady, in a tattered cloth, and using primitive method, or just carrying. Google a farmer of an American farmer. He's done by a pickup. You need to also give access to. We call it not just capital. Patient capital.
Okay.
Patient capital for youth to go into agriculture. Create that enabling environment. Create that incentive. Let me give an example. Let's say a state like Kogi or Niger, vast land, a lot of good water resources. What stops the government? What stops the governor, the state governor, to set up youth farms across? Cluster farms, whereby a youth wake up, he knows that I'm going to the farm has irrigation facility that can make them grow all year. If I can grow all year round, I'm not dependent on rain. And I know that every month or every 30 days, I'm going to make about 150,000 naira as profit. Why would the youth want to stay under the tree?
Okay, let's look at some of the easy. Because planting things like guava, for example, it's a long-term thing. Planting things like watermelon,
cashew. It's long term.
Cashew.
It's long term. Yeah.
So let's talk about, because a couple of young people don't really want the long-term things, except they are putting in like an investment.
Right.
So let's talk about those crops that are very easy. That in the space of 1 month, let's say in the space of 2 weeks to 3 months, they can start yielding results.
Right. So you're looking at farming, or it has to be broken into 3: short-term crops, medium-term, and then long-term crops. The short-term crops are crops that is within a matter of 3 months or 2 months. So I'll give you an example. Lettuce. Lettuce is actually 21 days.
Okay.
Okra, 60. 90 days, you are done. Maize, Someone complain about it. Maize is one of the most easiest crop to grow. Vegetables, watermelon, all these are short-term crops. So if we plan on short-term crops, you know that, and what you need to do is that you stagger your, so let's say you have about 3 acres or 3 hectares, or just say 5 hectares. You divide it into 3. If you divide it into 3, you go on a rotational. You plant this, the next week you plant the other one, or the next one you plant the other one. What you now do is that you will be able to plant, you'll be able to harvest every month. You know that you have something you are getting. But it's all dependent on irrigation. If we want to fall on rain and fold our arms to this, God, when are you raining?
Send down the rain.
It will never happen. There's a lot of water on the grounds. What stops us from drilling boreholes? But a young man that does not have that capital to dig a borehole of 1-point-something million or 2-point-something million to start farm. So we'll just have to make sure that we make a conscious effort. It will not come easy, but we need to make a conscious effort as government. We need to make conscious effort as community. Let me even surprise you one. See, if your church or your mosque does not own a farm, leave that church.
Okay, why do you say that?
Why would a church want to tell me that, we building, I'm taking care of your spiritual welfare, but not taking care of my physical welfare of what to eat? If every church in this city, in this country, makes a conscious effort that once a month we will make a contribution to do, set up youth in our own church to start farming. Guess the amount of, let me give you an example of my own church that I attend here. I attend Family Life Worship. Awesome church. Good place. If the leadership of the church now has something that people can contribute to, they want to buy food in bulk, they will bring food so that church members, that's not enough. The church must own a farm in Kuje or somewhere in Bakulada or somewhere
So you
in
grow your
Nasarawa.
crops and
You
then you
grow,
go to
you know
harvest.
what you see. The other church will grow the other needs, so it's a bit of, and it will be cheaper for everybody.
I think
We don't
that's a
expect,
very
we
good
don't
idea.
expect every government, we don't expect government to do everything for us. I'm sorry. Government has a lot of headache himself. We as churches, mosques, as community leaders must also take an initiative to stop blaming government for everything.
Okay, I think you have a very good point there. If every church in Nigeria, in Africa, we have lots of churches in
Yes, ma'am.
Nigeria.
We are good at that, setting up churches.
So if every church in Nigeria, in Africa, decides to say, okay, we need to have a farm, no matter what, even if it is just a rice farm or a beans farm
Yes.
or whatever it is, birds, whatever it is. I think that's a good idea. And I'm sure that some church owners or some people who have good place in churches are actually watching, and they would see how they can have that conversation with the church management and say, okay, let's have this, let's get a small piece of land, and some members of the church can go there and farm.
Cynthia, funny enough, it's even if I'm a chief and a church approached me for land for farming, I would gladly give.
Why?
Because it's an organized society.
Okay.
I know that they have, if a church wants to build an edifice, they will raise the money for it. So why can't they do the same to build farm, to feed the same members of the church? And have some for charity?
True.
Why would you want to use my money that I have donated for charity to go and buy Vietnam rice or 10 tomatoes from China to go and donate to, when the Chinese does not even believe in Christ? But I'm giving my money to be given to orphan, but they use the money to go and buy 10 tomatoes or oil from Malaysia to go and give it to the orphanage. Why can't we grow fresh tomatoes and donate to these people?
Okay, that's a good point. That's a good angle there. We've seen it from that place. So, your final words to the government, your final words to young people, and your final words to people who are agricultural executives before we wrap up.
Right. So to the government, I mean, it is important for us to understand that there is no way our continent, Africa, would develop without us developing agricultural space. None. It's not going to happen. So make a conducive environment for youth to get into agriculture. Make a conscious effort to give patient capital and resources. We are not saying let the youth buy tractors. There are already a lot of tractor initiatives like Trotro Tractor, a company that gives farmers access to mechanization service. Let mechanization be available for these youth. Let mechanization be available for the community. And everybody will want to jump on because it's now easy to till the land and prepare the land. So governments make a conscious effort. In fact, if possible, do a zero interest for agricultural loans. That is on government. On communities and youth, please, there's nothing like fast cash because it's not sustainable. Fast food are always fast food, but you can't compare your fast food to Akpo. That one will last.
Okay.
It takes time for us to do. And for us as an individual, let us also invest in knowing what we eat, invest in our agriculture. If you go to the market, make a conscious effort to buy made in Africa or buy made in Nigeria. Don't say, I have money and I can buy whatever I want to buy. Please, you are developing somebody's economy. So if it is made in Benin, buy made in Benin. It's made in Ghana, buy made in Ghana. Buy made in Nigeria. That is the only way we can move our continent.
All right, thank you so much, Mr. Emmanuel Ansah-Amprofi. Thank you for coming on the show and thank you for, detailing out some of these things.
I mean, I should also commend your station for making conversation in agri or food systems a bit of a concern on a morning show.
Thank you so much.
It's not always has to be entertainment. So you guys have done well.
Thank you so much for that. So it's still Rapid Dawn. We do hope that anytime we call on you, you definitely grant us audience.
I'll be available. Thank you.
All right, so we go on a very short break, and when we come back, myself and Ugochukwu would be wrapping up. It's Rapid Dawn. Don't go anywhere.